Hey everybody, this is Joe here in Houston. I am going to give you a little tour of sort of the shady side of my garden today. And I'm starting back here in the back. This is sort of, where the air conditioner is. And this is the little fence straight into the front yard here. And I've let this kind of go feral. The weeds are crazy. This is a ugly plant called cudweed, and it is a butterfly host, but it just seeds everywhere and it's not attractive. So I've just let it kind of go a little feral back here. Lots of weeds, which is fine. But I've got arrowwood viburnum, which is so beautiful, native. And it grows berries. It has berries that the birds will eat in the spring. And you can see on here just the very beginnings, hopefully, I didn't get any berries last year, hopefully the beginnings of some berries. You can see I've just broken a piece off. But let's hope that that's really why I grew it, was for the birds. And just as an aside, in the front yard here, that's a wax myrtle, and you can still see some little berries left on there from last year. Next to it, I've got, this is the native coral honeysuckle. And I've gotten a few flowers off of it, but mostly it's just getting started this year. I've got Minoan lace, which is just this lovely little, it's non-native, like a tiny 1 foot tall Queen Anne's lace. That's what it looks like, and it's wonderful. Grew it from seed, easy peasy. I threw out some other things. I've got a fennel plant back here, a couple of them actually. And if I'm keeping, if I have any creatures inside, little swallowtail butterflies that I'm putting in an enclosure to kind of keep them from the red wasps and the lizards, I kind of can go back here and snip a little, and it's not very obvious in the front yard. I've got a little bit of basil coming up. This thing, and I'm just noticing, like, I don't go back here, it's kind of feral. This growing up, apparently up with the coral honeysuckle, that is a cantaloupe. And so we'll see what happens to that. More arrowwood viburnum, which, it sort of has a quick bloom. It blooms and then poops out very quickly. It's not a big showy, it's showy for a week. And that's kind of it. Then I've got a native inland sea oats, which is so pretty. I love that. I've learned from my mistakes, when that gets dry in the fall, go ahead and clip these beautiful seed heads off, put them in the house in a vase or something, because they will seed everywhere, even where you really don't want them. And then next to them, sort of mixed in, is crocosmia, which always flops over. You can see now we had an enormous storm. You probably saw it on the news this week in Houston. We had a storm that we hit 100-mile-an-hour straight winds. There was one tornado, probably 20 miles from me, 25 miles from me. But we're gonna have to take a tree down in the front, which will be a different video. But it really knocked some things flat. This is easy to knock flat, but this crocosmia is looking a little bit of a mess. More viburnum. This is a non-native, that's a Japanese yew. It's very pretty. I would rather, it has berries that are not edible, they're actually toxic for birds. I would much rather have a very similar looking native wax myrtle. So we have removed some like this, but this is so close to the house, we're just leaving it. Then, past all my weeds, I'm not kidding you, I've just let it go, feral back there. I've got a little Martha Gonzalez rose, which I need to just cut back. You could basically cut that to the ground and it would come back, and I'm a little bit tempted to do that. I've been training my purple hyacinth bean vine to cover up the rooster, and it went through its little eye hole by itself, and so then I put the other one through. I think it's a hoot. And that is a native parsley hawthorn, which I bought because of the flowers. I saw one, full grown one, and it didn't bloom this summer. Maybe let's hope. It just kind of takes a while to get going. Lots of cleums down there that have come up. More feral, you know, I've just let things grow back here for butterfly weeds. Now, this is a Ruellia, non-native Mexican Ruellia, and that is the scourge of the world. So I do pull that up. So this wonderful thing. Now again, so many things have kind of gone flat. This is a Texas kidneywood. It's a native tree. It is a butterfly host, and it's beautiful. I can see, you know, we had such insane winds that this has come untethered. I was wondering why it was leaning from its support back there. So we'll need to support that some more. And then the same thing here. This is a native false indigo, which I cannot get to bloom for me for the life of me. It just keeps getting bigger and bigger. Never a flower to be seen, but it's sort of collapsed a little bit after the rain. And then our generator went off. We have a generator because we live, you know, with hurricanes all the time. And so we finally got a generator, but it blew and it did go off. It ran for probably 6 or 7 hours after this big storm, and hot exhaust comes out of that. And that's why we have this little fence to kind of protect things, but our little fence isn't quite big enough. This and none of this is permanent damage, but it sure fried my amaryllis, which is fine. It's a bulb. It's tough as nails. I'll trim that back. And then it really fried. You can see the difference. This milkweed looks lovely, and right next to it, this was in the way of the generator, and I was really bummed to lose those beautiful seed pods. That'll come back from the ground. I can see that it's still green down there on the stem, and so I'll just cut this to the ground, all the terrible looking parts, and it'll flush back out. And then I've got a pot that I've got just set out here of milkweed as well. And then look how sweet. This is the landsleep coreopsis. Now it needs deadheading, but look how beautiful. I just love it so much. It has, you know, it's typical, and I think if I lived in England, you could see it's collapsed in the middle. And if it was 67 degrees for the next month, and it was gonna rain every 3 days, I would cut this back to the ground, and it would all come back and be beautiful. But I have found, and I've cut some, I'm sort of doing a little bit of an experiment. I cut some back. You can see there are some little short pieces here. But, you know, this is Texas. It's already, you know, 90 plus degrees. And I'm afraid that if I cut that to the ground, it's going to just damage the plant. It won't be able to handle that. And so I'm doing a little experiment to try to puff up the middle. But in this climate, I just don't think that I dare cut this beautiful thing back. I'm not sure it would come back fully. I would worry I would actually kill the plant. And so, you know, I'm sort of making a concession to the heat by leaving that, even though it's collapsed in the middle. And then I've got a little bit of anise hyssop back here. And this just came up from seed. I kind of dug a lot of it up from the gravel and put it back here. It has not bloomed, it has not gotten big, but it looks happy enough. And then I've got my beautiful, let me step back in here, my beautiful, I'm excited about it. Oh, it's a big old lizard. Hey buddy, aren't you fancy? Woo! Like, don't jump on me, dude. I love a lizard, but not one jumping near me. This is dahlia, and it's taken a little bit of a hit as well, but I've been very judiciously pinching back and pinching to try to get a big wad of dahlias here, and so I'm hoping that is going to work out. Now I was going to show you, let me find him. I grow things for butterflies but for their caterpillars. I grow host plants. This is a butterfly garden. Let me give you a look. There's the garden, and that's Mrs. Doubtfire in the middle. But I will look and see if I see damage like this. See how it's defoliated right there, particularly, this is parsley, particularly the flower heads. The eastern black swallowtail butterfly caterpillars really like the flower heads. And so a little while ago, I found him. He was a big fat caterpillar. And of course, now that I'm making a video, I can't find him anywhere. But I know where another one is. I'll show you later. But that's kind of a way to find them. Sometimes they can be hard to find. And if I just look for, oh, there he is. If I just look for the telltale sign, I can usually find him. Look at him. Isn't he fantastic? That is an eastern black swallowtail. Isn't he wonderful? And they really like parsley. So I've got parsley and also fennel for them to eat. And I have a huge, huge, huge fennel plant over there. You can see the yellow flowers, and that is covered with little caterpillars, which is so much fun, y'all. Okay, more of the crocosmia that just, it really, so this didn't help. It's been knocked flat twice. Before the storm ever hit, my light that goes across the back of the yard fell and smushed the easily smushed crocosmia, and then the storm came, and so it's not in great shape. My little cousin I'm starting to wonder about this grass. It was spectacular for a couple of years. Last year was kind of okay, and this year it's just not coming back vigorously, and I have watered it and done all the things. And so I don't know quite what to do about this grass. I may end up next year pulling it out because it was so beautiful for so long, and now I don't know what the deal is. So there's lots of cleomes in here. They look kind of ratty, but I don't really know why, but they seem to be blooming okay back in the other part of the yard, so I'm not worried about it. This pretty thing is a porterweed, and that's a native plant, and it's kind of stayed little, but it's pretty, it's blooming. You can see all my beautiful seed heads from my inland sea oats, and that's because I didn't clip them off, and they have just spread, and I need to get in here and just take them out. And then you can see, I mean, a lot of this, it has gone feral, honestly. This up here, this is a beautiful rose called Mrs. B. Arcant, which is one of my favorite roses. But all of this greenery up here, that's all weeds. And all of this is all weeds that I just haven't gotten to. And you can see the weeds have gotten in on top of this rose. And so this needs a whole ton of work, and I have not done any of that work. Here's a pretty cleome that is blooming. I just love these. I was really hoping, I planted seeds for just hot pink, no white, just really deep pink, and I don't think any of them have come up. And I need to clip back here. This sweet potato vine will swamp other things, and you can see it really has. I've had to keep it off of the cleome, and it needs to get clipped back, or it will just take over the world, really. Hello, Mrs. Hi. I'll give you another little look. It looks so pretty, but and I'm going to make a video about the middle. But you can see what the storm, it does this anyway, but the storm really helped this completely collapse in the center. But this will bloom for another, I mean, it's crazy. The bees and the butterflies love this. This is Peter's Purple Monarda, and also called bee balm. And you can see a couple of bees right there. But this will poop out in another week or 10 days, and then I will cut it to about a foot high. And it also does weird things, like it'll just have random pieces die out. You see that? And I don't know why. It's done that every time, for years. Just have a piece just die. I don't know why. It clearly was fine enough to bloom, and but I just kind of clipped those out. It doesn't seem to affect the whole plant. Again, feral. These are just bulbs. This is no, that's amaryllis. I hasn't bloomed. I don't think it gets enough sun. It bloomed a little bit, but not very much. This is a huge pale pink crinum lily. It's not really getting enough sun either to bloom, but gosh, it's such a pretty plant. And I think I love the different leaves as well. And then this is agapanthus, no flowers, too shady. Agapanthus hates me anyway. I don't want to talk about it. And then I've got shrimp plant, which is not blooming yet. I can see my first little bloom there. So pretty. And I would have more flowers if I came out here and trimmed it back a little bit. But again, this whole side of the yard is just gone feral. This is that wonderful native penstemon, Gulf Coast penstemon. And I've replanted it. Came up from seed fairly well, sort of around the garden. And when I would find one, I would dig it up and put it in here. And it was very happy in the spring, and it will bloom again. And I love it. Goodness gracious. Y'all, does anybody want to come weed? This is my problem. Look at this. This is just weeds. Oh my gosh, y'all. What a disaster. But, you know, it got hot. It's Houston. It's already too hot. My friend Hallie and I are sending each other, just all we do is send a text of our, she lives in Austin, and we just send each other texts of the weather and angry memes about how terrible it is. Hello, missus. Hello, baby. This beautiful thing, I think this is a fall aster that has just gotten so big. I thought it was going to bloom, but it hasn't, which makes sense. It's a fall aster, but look how lovely. So again, it's just green back here. There's not a lot of it's not a lot of sun at all, but I really like the different textures of these leaves and these leaves and those and this back here and these back here, and so this little tapestry. Hello, Mrs. Look, I told you guys she's decided she wants to pet me, and so the cat lovers get a second of Miss Doubtfire. I touched her on her back today and she gave me a dirty look, but she seems to have forgiven me. Anyway, I really like, and really, and this fluffy stuff too. A little bit of a gray tinge. That's got a little bit of a gray tinge. And so you can do a lot with just different textures, even if you don't have any flowers at all. You can really do things, and color and leaves that have color. So, you know, that beautiful, even though sweet potato vine can get a little out of hand, to have different colored leaves as well. And then since I'm doing this video and all the flower pots are on this side, I'll go ahead and show you the flowers as well. I know, you're so demanding. You're so demanding. This is the coolest begonia. It is huge. I mean, look how big the flowers are. It's bonkers. It has looked so good. It's a little ratty right now, but it has done so well. And I have really, like, compare it to, like, I bought these the same week, let's say. This variety with these massive, massive flowers and this beautiful mounding shape. Okay, I bought that in a 4-inch pot, I think, the same time I bought this variety, right? Same day, same size pot. And these just, I mean, they're fine, but they haven't gotten any bigger. You know, I'm in love with this variety, whatever it is. So if you are seeing a really nice begonia that's just huge and fat, get that. I'm so impressed with it. And it is not an angel wing or dragon wing begonia. It's got kind of rounded leaves. So in comparison, that's a dragon wing, and my mom always called them angel wing. That's a dragon wing begonia with the pointier leaf. And then of course, you know, I love my my ivy geraniums, and they're really coming out. I wonder if they like the heat, because the one I have on the other side of the yard really, I'm trying to get this off so I can show you. You know how we are. We always want to tidy up our gardens. Look how many buds it's got, flower heads, and another one there. And so, I don't know, it kind of got hot, and they have all kind of popped out. This is another sort of speckly dragonwing begonia. It has not really bloomed, but the plant is okay. I've got another one similar here that's starting to bloom. They may be the same variety, and maybe I need to move this guy. And I think that's part of the sort of microclimate of your yard, you know, like how much rain, how much sun, how much rain is the difference between this pot and this pot. And I absolutely think that it's the same plant I bought on the same day. They're in the same size pot in the same potting soil. So what's the difference, right? Am I watering this one more? Is that one getting more sun, less sun? I'm not sure. But it makes me want to move the rattier one next to the one that looks good and see if it makes a difference. Okay, there's a couple of kinds of Gomphrena apparently. I really like the big, tall, leggy kind. This, I thought was going to be a big, tall, leggy kind. I think this is a different variety, and it just stays kind of squatty. And it's fine. I'm not really impressed with it. And then here's my globe basil. Does it look like a globe yet? Well, my friend Rachel over at Gulf Coast Butterfly Gardening, her globe basil looks like a globe. I'm not jealous or bitter at all. Hello, Rachel. Could you come to my house and sprinkle some of your fairy magic? This bushy thing is a coral nymph salvia, and I've sort of clipped it back and clipped the spent flowers off. I deadheaded it, and so but it just keeps getting bushier and bushier, and it's really pretty. And then here is a closer look at this. It's just starting to bloom. Look how neat. Isn't that pretty? This is the best I have had a speckly leafed begonia look good. They usually are not very happy with me. And then this, I'm feeling pretty smug. This beautiful thing, that is a dragonwing begonia that's looking so pretty, and it is a cutting of this one. And so usually my sister is the one who can make a begonia grow from a cutting, but I've made one grow, and I'm pretty proud of it. And here I've got these pretty, they look like little bitty hibiscus. That is a 4 o'clock. They open in the afternoon, and this just reseeds every year. It's an annual, and it is tough as nails, and it grows in basically complete shade. And then, you know, I keep finding things that have come down in the storm all over the place. This pretty stuff back here, let me walk back here. Here are the very first shrimp plants over here. Now this is a different variety of shrimp plant with sort of the bright green middle and the sort of coral pink flowers. And then here is a Turk's cap. This one is sort of an orangey red, which I don't really like this color, but it is so big. It was here when we moved in 15 years ago, and I tried to dig it up once. It is so big that a friend of mine and I together, the two of us, couldn't get it out of the ground, and so we're like, it's fine. And then here, this is an oak leaf hydrangea. Now it's not as beautiful as the other ones I have. This is native, but you know, it did fine. It's only been in the ground since last year. I got 3 flowers off of it. I can see that it's got lots of new growth this way. And what I will probably do is come in here and give it some space. I'll come and trim some of this back and give it some room to grow so it's not fighting for attention, right? And see how that was sort of covered up by that. And so I think it will get big and beautiful, and I'm excited about that. What else have I got back here? Oh, okay, here's the wax myrtle that I think is so gorgeous, and I love it trimmed up like this. It needs a little attention, mostly because of how I want it to look, right? I think I want to take this off so that I can see more of the multi-trunk aspect of it. And there's a little native coral berry back there. And then this back here, my friend Hallie gave me. This is mock orange. The first year she gave it to me, it bloomed beautifully. And now it's gotten bigger, although I see a bunch of it is broken off, but it didn't bloom this year. So I have hopes, but it may be too shady back here. More coral berry. I think that is a self-sown coral berry there, because I don't think I put two back here, so I'm very happy about that. And then this beautiful thing, this is Rangoon creeper. For some reason, I see that a bunch of the new vines have died, which I don't know why that is, but here's one that's going. And then to keep with my theme of weeds I haven't pulled, that's a big weed. Oh, and I think is this another one? Now I do remember that coralberry will make kind of a thicket, which is fine with me. There's not a lot grows back here that's fancy and showy. So I'm happy, but see there's another little baby there. I think this is a baby here, and I think this is the original plant. And I've mentioned before, you know, I have all these irises back here, and the shadier it has gotten, they were here when we moved in 15 years ago, and the shadier it has gotten, you see these huge trees above me, the less they've bloomed. And now they just don't bloom at all, but I like the shape of them, and so I leave them. And then here is such pretty Walter's viburnum. It's a native. I love it, and it has little white flowers in the fall, late fall, winter, a little bit in the spring, and it's just gotten leggy back here, but I like it, and I like it as a little bit of a screen for some greenery behind the bird bath. If you're standing where Mrs. Doubtfire is, it's got a little green behind it, and I think that's pretty. And this is the southern wood fern here. This is the native, and it's gotten bigger and bigger and bigger, and I am really in love with it as well. I think it's a really great, and it's been easy. I've put it in the ground, and I pampered it for a couple of weeks. Put it in the ground when it wasn't hot outside, and it died to the ground, but came right back. So I recommend the southern wood fern. I'm pleased with this pot as well. I bought the speckly one at the nursery, and it was pretty, and then it just got leggy and weird, and it didn't look good anymore. And I sort of trimmed it, and then I tucked in some more cuttings of this one. This is several years old now. It's been a good variety of begonia. So I tucked some in here. Then this decided, literally like this week, that it was going to bloom. And then this one has decided it's going to bloom. And so I'm kind of fascinated as to what it's going to end up looking like with brighter green, dark speckles, paler flowers, darker flowers. It's going to be fun to see how that turns out. I'm excited to see that sort of fill in and puff out. And I don't know, that may be my little star plant. Now, I know that coral nymph salvia seeds like crazy, but I bought a little salvia that's very much like coral nymph, but it's a paler pink. It's not so coral. It's a named variety. I've lost the tag, and it is seeding in the same way. It's much shorter. It doesn't get much taller than maybe 10 or 12 inches, more like 10, and it's a paler pink, but it is seeding like crazy. So I'm keeping these seeds, and I'm going to put them in all over. I really like how short it is. Hello, Mrs. Meep, meep, meep. I've got, was a gift, and I don't know the name of this plant. And then there's a coleus that made it through the winter in my garage, and has been fine. I keep pinching it back and making it all fluffy. And then this is a little milkweed that I have grown. I don't know what happened to this one. I don't see any caterpillars. Maybe he got eaten, but that's a little milkweed. And then these, I've got them under here so the squirrels won't dig them up. That is jewels of opar that I dug out of the gravel and put in here. And I've learned from one of you guys who very kindly commented on Jewels of Opar that they kind of have a tap root. And so I don't know how happy they're going to be in that little squatty pot, but we'll see. Here's the Jewels of Opar. Big and beautiful. And look at its sweet little pink flowers. Just lovely. I just love those. This thing took a beating in the wind. You can see the pieces that have come off of it. It hit the ground and broke a lot in the storm. And then again, these little, these are just little begonias that you see all over the place, in all the little garden centers. And they just, something's eating them and making them look terrible that doesn't seem to be interested in eating the other. See, that's another cutting. But this is one, it just looks, the little cutting with 3 leaves looks so much better than, the whole plant, I think. And then there's more of the little Jewels of Opar there. Big pot of milkweed that I sowed. That's a native milkweed called aquatic milkweed. And then look at this wonderful geranium. Now I grow ivy geraniums. The regular geraniums do not like me, and as soon as it gets hot, they stop blooming in Houston. But hi, I know, hello. The ivy geraniums I've been able to keep alive, overwintered, and keep them blooming. They get ratty in the summer, but they come back, and they will bloom again for you in the fall. And so I have several varieties that I really like. And some of them are single, and then some of them are double varieties. And you can see, look how many new little blooms are coming. And it's really happy over here. Here's the original spot where that little salvia got put in this pot, and it was seeded all in the ground, and I keep digging it up and moving it. And so here is more of the seeds, and I'm keeping those little seed heads until I can sprinkle them. And then here, oh my goodness, this is the native plant called chili pekin, and it's a native chili. It's a hot little pepper. It's also called bird pepper. The birds will eat the peppers. The heat doesn't bother them. And it needs some shade. It has tiny white flowers. And then there's one of my first little peppers right there. You are very demanding for a kitty that won't let me touch you. You're a very demanding girl. I've got some scented geranium there. And that white fluff over there, that is diamond frost euphorbia. Oh, I have a question for you guys. Okay, this is an olive tree. I've had it for 100 years. I've had it in a pot, I've had it in the ground, I took it back in a pot. This is the first time in a long time it's looked good. I've probably had this thing, oh my gosh, 15 years. But I keep getting leaves like this that are turning yellow. And I don't know, I keep pulling them off. Am I watering it too much? Am I watering it not enough? If you know, please help me figure this out. I'm trying to make it into a little topiary, and look, these are ready for me to snip them back and help that bush out. But I can't figure out these yellow leaves. So if you have advice for me, I would love it, because I don't know what I'm doing with this olive tree. Now, this is another of those non-native Japanese yews. It is enormous. It was here when we moved in, and we haven't taken it out. It's hiding this pole, this electrical pole, and so it would take so long. I will move to another state before I get another tree this big to hide that pole, so I'm leaving it. And more 4 o'clocks. And I think the 4 o'clocks next to this little diamond frost euphorbia is a really sweet little combination. Isn't that pretty? I really, really like that combo. I've got some walking iris in here. That's getting a little bit crowded out. These are the 4 o'clocks can be a bit of a bully in here. And so You know, you gotta judiciously pull out because they'll seed anywhere. I saw some, there are some like, oh here, this is in the gravel. I don't need that there, but they will very easily seed. Here's this big oak leaf hydrangea, and the flower heads have dried, and they're just a little bit of a peachy pink tinge to them, and you can cut them off, or you can you could cut them off and put them in your house in an arrangement. I can never seem to make them look pretty, but I leave them on just for visual interest. And look, my goodness, look how big the leaf is, right? I love that. Here is my pipe vine. I have two different kinds. One is actually a climber. It will climb up. It took about 2 years to really get it started, get it going. And this is three plants. But now I have it popping up everywhere. And I have one that popped up and is like, well, I'm just going to grow in this wisteria, which is fine. And so, because once you get some pipe vine swallowtail caterpillars, they will munch this down. I have not had any caterpillars. I will see damage, look for caterpillars or eggs and caterpillars, and not find any. I think, I've had this problem before, that I think that either the wasps or the lizards come out here and eat all the eggs or the babies. So I have not had any luck this year. This is the other pipe vine. It tends to get, look how pretty it is. I think it smells terrible, but I think it looks really pretty. It tends to get spider mite a little bit. And so I have no problem. I just haven't done it, nobody's eating it right now anyway. Usually it would get taken care of by all the caterpillars. They would just chomp it literally to the ground, and it will all pop back up. I could just cut this if I wanted to get rid of the spider mites. The spider mites don't really bother the caterpillars, and so I'm kind of leaving it. But if it bothered me, I could cut it down, and it's very vigorous. That's what it's there for. It is, nature has said you're going to get eaten down to the ground, and you're going to pop right back up for the next round of butterflies. And so it doesn't mind if you chop it back. And then this is a little bit of bleeding heart that I have here and there. Don't plant this, y'all. This is like, put it in a pot. But if you put that in the ground and then you decide you don't want it in the ground, that's too bad, because it will never, 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 never go away. And you can dig it up, and the next year you'll be like, oh, there's some more. So it's back here. It's beautiful. I love it. I'm constantly kind of editing, pulling it out, because it will swamp things like these irises that I really want. This is a walking iris that will bloom back here. And so, and you can see there's more pipe vine. It's kind of going everywhere, which is great. But my advice, if somebody gives you this, you say thank you, and you put it in a pot. Well, y'all, thanks for looking and watching, and all your sweet comments and your helpful comments. I learned so much from y'all, and I hope you enjoy watching these. I sure have had fun making these videos. Take a look in a couple of days. I'm going to make a video of the middle, which is really pretty, and did okay in the storm. And then I'll show you the front yard, which did not do okay. The tree is a goner. The flowers look fine. Y'all take care. Bye-bye.